As if the vulnerability of food production, the increased dependency on fossil fuels, and the loss of healthy food weren't enough. The greatest cost is to the ecosystem. As family ranches go under, what happens to their land?
Because we're not making money in ranching right now, pretty hard to make the payment on this piece of property, but there's a small corner of it that we could hopefully sell off, and we wouldn't want to sell it off if we didn't have to. But to try to stay in this business a little longer, I mean, it seems a logical thing to do. It's not really being used. It's just a small, little 5-acre piece. And
over the last few decades, we've seen rampant subdivision of land that was formerly used for grazing, and this has resulted in the destruction of wildlife habitat.
And then over the course of the last 5 years in particular, there's been a lot of interest in property and homes for second homes.
This pressure is being noticed by more than just Lance Bailey at the Planning Commission. Across the valley from Kerry Herman's is the Wolf Ranch. They're one of the larger landowners in the area, and Woody Wolf knows that this pressure is very real.
Land values have probably tripled to quadrupled, and that's at the smaller parcel.
And this trend continues.
That's how we get 5-acre lots, bare lots costing $200,000. Now for agricultural use, 5 acres is not worth anywhere near that, the best farmland in the entire county.
These land prices are being set by the majority. People moving from high land values to areas of relatively low land values. This has consequences for agricultural production.
And I've seen it quite a few times. They'll come in and they have no experience, but they'll try to run it. They'll create themselves a negative cash flow situation, and then they'll either choose to rent it out, change how they do it, or just resell it. And when they do resell it, usually they mark it up 10 to 30%, and sooner or later somebody comes and buys it and the same thing happens over again.
The current real estate model favors fragmentation of the landscape. When a large, contiguous ranch goes on the market, it tends to be broken into smaller and smaller properties.
What happens is a once functioning ecosystem becomes fragmented into small, non-functioning pieces. We don't capture water the way we used to. In addition, we see a whole change in the vegetation that's out there. So what we see is that the landscape completely changes.
This landscape destruction is one of the major factors leading to widespread extinction of species. E.O. Wilson, a prominent ecologist, estimates that tens of thousands are going extinct every year. Human destruction of the biosphere is being compared to the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs. Some estimates predict that 50% of the Earth's species will be gone in this century. If this dramatic and overwhelming mass extinction continues, the entire fabric of life on Earth, including humans, could collapse.
So, if we allow all of the rangelands of the West to be broken up into small pieces so that everybody can have their single-family home on 5 acres, we're going to destroy the ecological as well as managerial characteristics that allows us to use those for ranches and allows them to support the wildlife habitat and the wildlife that we expect to find there today.
As globalization spreads, even remote countries like Mongolia have committed themselves to building a larger, more modern economy. Rangelands worldwide must find a way to produce profit in their current form, or they face development for other uses.
If we're going to be competitive, still we have to have access to input. So we either have to put up the hay ourselves, or we buy it somewhere else and bring it in the same as slow.
All land in Mongolia is still owned by the public. The herders operate in a semi-nomadic herding system based on traditional camps that have passed down in their families. In this meeting, local herders are discussing the approaching change. The government is in the process of privatizing land ownership. Consultants like Dr. Sheehy have seen this before.
What you get is, not only for the herders or people who want to grow veggies, which is reasonable, you open it up to outsiders. You open up to Chinese, you open up to Koreans. Anybody can come in here and lease large tracts of land for agriculture purposes.
This is a very real possibility, since the enormous Chinese economy borders Mongolia on the south. Presently, the Chinese are mainly interested in mining and resource extraction, but once land is privatized, the floodgates for development will open. The possibility of too much development must seem ridiculous to Mongolians. There is so much freedom and unclaimed space. It is a country 3 times the size of Texas, with only 2 million people. Travelers can spend days without seeing anyone. One can appreciate the past and think about the future.
One worries a great deal about a landscape such as this, that at this point 90% in the public domain and within the state of Mongolia. What they decide to do with this incredible landscape. Any luck?
Yeah.
Nah.
Good. Hey, let's go. Thank you.
My driver.
Let's go.
He may have no awareness of what's coming about. But he does like my flies. Go down? I think upstream. Downstream.
Yep.
No good?
No.
Downstream.